then you will have deeper realizations. You will be able to see the required precise character that needs to be transformed, so we will be able to perform devotionals. Say chanting 16 rounds of the holy name. Even one holy name chanted purely can transform one immediately. But even though repeatedly we have been chanting for many, many births even, we will never get love of Godhead to that extent of the last limits of devotional service is to be in love of the Godhead. There is no love existing in the material world. It's only strife and struggle. And every time we are being cheated under the pretense of love. But because it is material nature which is changing, love can be remaining frustrated in the material life. So, association of the devotees, practice, and systematic understanding means analyzing each and every factor is called Sankhya. So, Kapila Tattva Sankhyata. Sankhyata means he is expert in analyzing the truth behind the process. Srila Prabhupada would say, I may be imperfect on my own, but I follow the process which is perfect. So, performing pure devotional service in the transcendental mood is very essential to come to that particular point. So, it cleanses not only our heart, the holy name, but at the same time, whatever anarthas we have been going through life after life, they can be also removed. In this, the potency of the process is not only cleansing, Chetodarpana Marjana, and all these instructions are given by Kapil Dev to Mother Devhuti. No material desires can come, rather all the desires are dovetailed to Lord Krishna's satisfaction. Because Krishna is asking. We are part and parcel and we have to obey the command of the whole. So how, for the purpose of love of Godhead, which is the only thirst that can be quenched by performing your devotional service. So there are 9 steps described. Ādau Shraddha, Tato Sadhu Sangha, Atha Bhajana Kriya, Atha Anartha Nivritti Shyat, Tato Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and Prem. 9 stages are there. Ādau Shraddha, in the beginning there is faith. Tato Sadhu Sangha means requires association. Actually, faith is generated from Sadhu Sangha. And inspiration to enter into Bhajana Kriya is also generated from Sadhu Sangha. Then, when we enter the process, then naturally, whatever the inauspicious thing in our heart will start cleansing. All right? So, we are gradually becoming purified, and in proper deliberation of intelligence, we will be able to say no, I will say yes to whatever Krishna says. I will say no to allurement of Maya or material energy, because it's always a cheating experience. Yesterday in the evening I explained how we have been cheated because of association with the modes of material nature. But the soul has its transcendental nature, How come the soul is overpowered by this desire? So, Devhuti is asking so many pertinent questions about the advancement in devotional service. She is asking for people in general also. One of the questions she asked that, my dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for me and for people in general, the continual process of birth and death, for by hearing such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. Everybody fear birth as well as death, because birth is also coming out of ignorance, and death is also going in the ignorance, without knowing the subject matter of our reality. So actually, that is the defeat of human life. Human life is not meant for getting defeated. So many questions have been asked, and Kapil Dev answers that my dear mother, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of different qualities and executor. He is describing, but Srila Prabhupada brought a very conclusive aspect, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with a conclusive approach. See the benediction. In Bhagavatam it is said, this particular age of Kali is nothing but ocean of faults. So nothing is perfect. And you can't strive the perfection. Yet we want to improve, even physically, with some perfection, but we fail. We have limited senses. And we are being illusioned. We have, cheating propensity, and we commit mistakes. So where is the perfection? So Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that Kaladosha nidhe rajan asti eko matguna. There is only one good quality in this Kali Yuga. That Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangam Paraprajet. Chanting of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is the only way to become cleansed of all the defects. And we get perfection with proper composure of our spiritual identity, and in connection with the Supreme, who is all spiritual. In today's verse, Kapil Dev is further explaining that Jivaha Shrestha Hi Jivanam Tatah Pranabhuta Shubhe Tatah Satchittaha Pravara Tatah Cha Indriya Vrittayaha Jiva Sreshta Hi Jivanam Tata Prana Bhute Shubha Tata Satchitta Pravara Stataschendriya Vrittayaha. Jiva means the living entities. Sreshtaha, better, he indeed, ajivanam, then inanimate objects. Tata, then, prana bhrutaha, entities with life symptoms. Subhe, O blessed mother, tata, then, Satchittaha, entities with developed consciousness, pravaraha, better, tataha, then them, cha, and indriya vrittaya, those with sense perception. Translation is, living entities are superior to inanimate subject. O Blessed Mother, and amongst them the living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals with developed consciousness are better than them. And better still are those who have developed sense perception. In the previous verse, it was explained that living entities should be honored by charitable gifts and friendly behavior. And in this verse and in the following verse, the description of different grades of living entities is given so that one can know when to behave friendly and when to give charity. For example, a tiger is a living entity, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Lord is living in the heart of the tiger as Super Soul. But does that mean that we have to treat the tiger in a friendly manner? Certainly not. We have to treat him differently, giving him charity in the form of prasadam. The many saintly persons in the jungle do not treat tigers in a friendly way, but they supply prasad foodstuffs to them. The tigers come and take the food and go away, just as dog does. According to the Vedic system, a dog is not allowed to enter the house. Because of their uncleanliness, cats and dogs are not allowed within the apartment of a gentleman, but are so trained that they stand outside. The compassionate householder will supply prasad to the dogs and cats who eat outside and then go away. We must treat the lower living entities compassionately, but this does not mean that we have to treat them in the same way as we treat other human beings. The feeling of equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminating. Just how discrimination should be maintained is given in the following 6 verses concerning the different grades of living conditions. First division is made between dead stone-like matter and the living organism. A living organism is sometimes manifested even in stone. Experience shows that some hills and mountains grow. It is due to the presence of the soul within that stone. Above that, the next manifestation of the living condition is development of consciousness, and the next manifestation is the development of sense perception. In the Moksha Dharma section of Mahabharata, it is stated that the trees have developed sense perception and they can see and smell. We know by experience that tree can see. Sometimes in its growth, a large tree changes its course of development to avoid some hindrances. This means that a tree can see. And according to Mahabharata, a tree can also smell. This indicates the development of sense perception. So, this is a subject matter of science, whether what are the gradations of living entities. The personification of the energy is the proof. And we should honor. We can't simply create the environmental pollution to choke up the growth of everybody. So that is the responsibility of human consciousness, developed consciousness, and benevolent consciousness. So all the lower animals should be treated in their accordance. But the cows will be treated differently. You can keep her in the house, but you should not keep the dog in the home. Even if you have dog hospitals and so much, but the dogs are dogs. If a dog is seated on a high singhasan with crown on it, all right? But as soon as you throw a shoe, he will jump and run for it. That is the mentality of the dogs. So Kapil Dev is putting the soul who is all permeating. It's a super soul. Super soul is all permeating. Many a times in Mahabharata and all other Vedic literatures, yesterday we touched upon Vindhyachal mountain. It's the king of mountains. And so many offsprings. Govardhan is an offspring of Vindhyachal mountain. Of course, it came as an incarnation, and the story will be there. But Vindhyachal is, considered to be the king of the mountain, and he has several sons. Agastya Muni wanted a beautiful mountain in his hermitage. So he was so powerful, so much conscious of everything, because he's a Muni. He asked Vindhyachal, then, can you donate one of your sons? I want to decorate my ashram with him. So Vindhyachal says, yes, with one condition. What is the condition? You carry him, all right, with your yogic process, whatever you have. There is no objection. But do not put him halfway. You have to put only when your ashram comes. All right? If you put him, he will never move there. So Agastya Muni says, yes, okay. So he wanted to fulfill the desire, even seemingly, of a dead matter. But no, there is living entity. There is living entity. There are so many fossilized living entity. Fossilized. But living entities were there. Why we worship Shalagram? It is a fossilized mollusk otherwise. The living entity is there. But it resembles the Sudarshan Chakra. So, whatever the signs that reminds you of the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be taken as a paraphernalia of the Lord. So therefore, we worship Shalagram Shila, Govardhan Shila. Prabhupada said, some of the mountains, they still grow. All of a sudden, volcanic eruption can come and make a mountain immediately, even in the sea. So many things are. And the living entities can exist even in such a high temperature of 900 degrees Celsius. There are adaptations of these living entities, microbes even. They thrive in such a high temperature. The scientists are not knowing, but they are finding out. And do we have to wait for their knowledge? Or we are given the knowledge with a sense of discrimination that it is not a fairy tale? Even they cannot calculate the number of universes. The description we get it. So the idea is that any suitable environment will be there for living entity to thrive. Otherwise, why they are looking for living entities on the surface of moon? But according to that atmosphere, the living entity can stay. They want to examine the presence of living entities in other planets. But they have only one standard of limited knowledge of Earth and Earth's atmosphere, the temperature, etc. On that basis they want to do. But that science is very primitive science, while here it is a realized science. Here it is a realized science. The mood of scientists is changing. Today's scientists, the mood of scientists is changing. They want to rely more on the information given in the Shastras. That's how about 12 years back, they made an experiment. 25 years back, or 40 years back, they made another experiment, the same nature, in the town of Waxahachie, south of Dallas, Texas, on I-35, where I-35 east and west both joined to go to Waco and Austin. That Waxahachie was a place, they created a 10-mile radius tunnel about several kilometers inside. And they wanted to split the atom and capture God particle, but they failed. So when, after all these 40 years, they wanted to, that program was shut down, but still the museum is there, because I pass through so many times, almost every time, once a year. So they shifted and put up a composite program of speed cameras with high pixel, very high pixel. And they created a 25-mile radius between the border of Geneva and Switzerland. So 12 years back, they were announcing with so much pride that they want to capture God particle. Now, why do they call God particle? Because in 1959, if you read Srila Prabhupada's Easy Journey to Other Planets, check out Easy Journey to Other Planets, a small booklet is there. Prabhupada wrote, starting quoting, that 2 American scientists got a Nobel Prize to postulate there exists an antiparticle, and the nature of particular world and antiparticular world is completely opposite of each other. So 2 proposals, Prabhupada said we agree, but the third proposal what says that in given time and circumstances, if both worlds come and collide, there will be total devastation. Prabhupada said, we don't agree with it. Soul is antiparticle. It does not constitute a particular theory. and it has completely opposite characteristics of then a particle or material particle. Then the second proposition that there is a world of antiparticle, and just like we have the world of particular nature, there is also a world of antiparticle. Prabhupada said, we agree. That is Yad Gatvana Nivartante Tad Dhamam Paramam Mama. That realm is Krishna's realm. And everybody is encouraged to go back to Godhead. That is anti-particular world. Prabhupada says, we agree. But we don't agree with the third proposal, because anti-particular world, once you go there, there is no return. You don't have to come back to, again, suffer in the particular world of birth, death, old age, and disease. So in this way, when they split the atom and they brought out the photograph, they became more confused, because there are more antiparticle generating from it. Now, which one is responsible as God particle? They call it God particle, and it become a laughing stock. Many were Indian scientists occupying high posts in that experiment. They think they are so superior, but they cannot catch hold of. By material conveyance, they can't hold the Atma. While a yogi can transfer himself to the spiritual world simply by connecting himself with the Supreme, because Atma and Paramatma, the soul and super soul, both are coexisting in this body. So in this way, the methodology is to enter deeper, not in the material world, but in spiritual world. So get spiritual conception and improvise our existence for spiritual realization. So you will be able to always use your intelligence, not the mind. Mind is always hopeless. But use your intelligence every time to discern whether you are in eternal realm or temporary realm. Sat means eternality, Chit means full knowledgeability, and Anand means bliss. So experiencing our self-realization is realizing these three aspects. That we are eternal. We were never born. Na jayate mriyate va kadachinnaya. These are the original teachings and in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So you realize. So Kapil Dev is telling Devahuti about how to realize the developed consciousness is more responsible to look for his own origin. He is not a lump of body, like cats and dogs. They are lower animals. But cow is supposed to be only in mode of goodness. And they say all the demigods are residing. So if you treat the cows for the benefit of the cows and Brahmanas, Krishna is appearing. Brahman means intelligent class. So Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namo. I worship Lord Govinda. Because Lord Krishna, who is Govinda, he appeared for the benefit of cows and Brahmanas only. By tending cow, he showed how a sensible economy can be created. The cow is so called mother because she supplies all the good values in the form of liquid religion called milk. And some upstarts like vegans, they don't understand. By becoming more compassionate than Krishna, they want to prove that it is cruelty if you drink cow's milk. The cows, when they are treated better, they automatically ooze milk. Even if they have been experimenting in the goshalas, even in Europe, if you play music and the cow gets acquainted with that music, she will start oozing milk without milking. Have you seen it? It's in YouTube, you will get it. So the point is that even animals respect and they follow. Even the dogs, you can take them outside and chant Hare Krishna and they will jump around. Even the deer, wild animals can also. And then what is the amazement when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could make tigers and elephants dance in Jarikhanda forest. Last year we visited that area and we can see footprints of all different animals. It melted the stone. There is no cement concrete there. Gaudiya Math is preserving that area. It's in Jharkhand. Jarikhanda forest. So from Patna you could go down. You are from Patna, right? Where from? Mayapur. Okay. There are so many devotees. So it became a place of pilgrimage. So the point is that consciousness, developed consciousness, is being categorically saying that even you have to respect. When we go to Govardhan Parikrama, we bow down to Govardhan Hill. It's not that, we are foolish. We are touching the consciousness, and consciousness has to be respected. Your consciousness may be rajoguni or sense gratificatory, but it is giving you adverse reactions. More of passion always turns into disappointments, disagreements, and quarrel that downgrades us into a tamogun. Then they kill each other because incompatibility, different desires, conflict of desire. But that is all bodily generated. We also go to the prison to preach. We distribute books in the prison. In America, so many prisons, there is a prison ministry distributing books. So anybody's consciousness can be brought back to the normal simply by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That is the Yuga Dharma, the conduct of gods of Lord Shri Krishna to be performed in this particular age. So, trees respond. It's a living entity. Nobody can deny that. We are vegetarians. Are we killing trees also? Do we have to uproot the whole plant to take? No. We allow grains and to dry naturally. So when their lifespan is over, then we take the grains. Like that. We replant it with the same stock where the life is sustained and take away even the sugar cane to make sugar. It's always replenishable. But if you kill animals, what is the replacement? And you can't offer because it's a forbidden activity. So four regulative principles are based upon the development of consciousness to maximum understandable for transcendence. Otherwise, eating, sleeping, mating and defending is common to both men and animals. But one element called dharma or observing the sanity, the codes of religion is only bestowed to the human being. Dharmo hi eko yatra vishesho dharmena hina pasubhi samana. Without the fifth element that distinguishes the human being is developing his consciousness. Dharayati iti dharma. One that holds his existence. Spirituality, consciousness. When consciousness is withdrawn, the body lies dead. So, keeping in mind, Kapil Dev is advising the presence of living entity everywhere. Presence of living entity. Therefore, even the demigods controlling different aspects of material world, they are there. Krishna identifies with those big mountains, Sthavaranam Himalaya. Amongst those which are steady, sthavar, it will not move for years together. I am that Himalaya. But prior to that, scientists said there was no Himalaya, but only a big ocean there. But earthquake and made it Himalaya. Now they are telling that the eastern part of the whole Africa continent is drifting away, and it is going to strike against India, and there will be a huge mountain bigger than Himalaya will be created. So before such struggle begin, better we depart, never to come back to see this kind of earthly changes, because we do not belong here. Human being, the human consciousness can understand that they do not belong here. We may come from a small town in India to Las Vegas, but it is not a permanent residence. Permanent residence is where we fell from. So this is important, and we can remain aware, conscious of this understanding, vital understanding for development of humanity, the only function to as an obligation on our own self to get out from this material world, once and all. But bhakti, this process is so powerful, it will take you to the heights of any possible understanding. It's a mind-boggling thing. Ordinary people do not understand in detail, but Srimad Bhagavatam will declare it. So, anybody has any question?
Yes, Maharaj.
Jor se bolo.
Maharaj, you explained about the cow and dog. You made difference between cow and dog. But in Bhagavad Gita said, Krishna said,
Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmana gavriyastini sunichaiva swapakecha pandita samadarshana. Only one thing is to be looking equal, that Paramatma is residing in everyone. But why only living entities? Even in mountains, even in a little atom, material atom. How the hell electrons are moving around a nucleus of an atom? Don't you see the influence of Paramatma? That there was nothing dead. Our perception of dead is failing. But when we understand the nature of an atom, the dynamism is there. There are high energy particles. We can't exist in atom bomb. High energy particles of uranium are there. If you are in touch, you'll be burnt. And if an atom is split, then you better believe it will be very disastrous, can kill everything. That's an atom bomb. You may say it is physical energy. Do you think physical energy can keep on moving? Who is the designer of an atom? And there are different kinds of atoms. In the chemistry, you will learn about element structure. Why hydrogen bomb? They can be more complex. But to measure what energy is being released, Einstein was given Nobel Prize, E is equal to mc square. We respect the presence of the super soul everywhere. So why don't we obey? Everywhere. That is not impersonalism. Sarvatra ka. Andantarastha paramano chayantarastham govindamadi purusham tamam bhajan. Anda means atom. He is within the atom and without atom also, between the two atoms. That is the nature. And they are trying to understand only the confinement of God particle within an atom. You want to capture God particle. Be my guest. So after 12 years they declared it is that lab which has been created by billions of dollars, they failed miserably. And do you know how ironical situation is that? Because they were scientists, and the Indian philosophy of Parmanuvad that is atomic theory by Kanadrushi. He was the atheistic disciple of, he wrote atheistic philosophy, but he was disciple of Vyasadeva, Kanadrushi. And he was original to postulate the atomic theory. And in that laboratory, which is situated at the border of France and Geneva, it's called CERN, C-E-R-N. You go and Google it. They put in a big reception hall, a little bigger than this, higher than this, a 20-foot bigger, height of Lord Shiva as Nataraj, god of death, in their reception. and they were performing so-called drama of manslaughter there. Oh, so much stuff has come out. Are these scientists or superstitious people? Yeah. You read, man has very limited sense perception. There are many animals, they have higher sense perceptions than man. A dog can hear the heartbeats even though he is 50 feet away of a person. And if a person is excited, he will protect, he will keep eye on him. He will protect his honor. Who is better in hearing? I cannot hear you. You are already 10 feet away because my sense perception is becoming limited. I'm carrying the hearing aid. I brought it, but it's, what is the use? So we need to understand these principles of spiritual or what we call anti-material life. And that is what we are in our original construction. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Nityera Krishna Das, Krishna Tatashta Shakti, Veda Aveda Prakash. The living entity is part and parcel of the Lord and he is eternally his servant. But there is simultaneously difference in him as well as non-difference in him. Difference means we have assumed a material body. The Lord does not assume material body. We are part and parcel means qualitatively one, but quantitative difference is there. So like that. So we are in a precarious situation called, it is very difficult to conceive otherwise. So it is inconceivable. Simultaneously oneness and difference is there, which is very inconceivable. But devotional service can put you right on the platform of understanding and put back on our original occupation of the soul, not of the body. That is devotional service. क्या
किसी के घर में जैसे कोई डॉग हो, कुत्ता हो, किसी का घर में अगर कुत्ता हो तो उस घर में प्रोग्राम टीचिंग करने के लिए जाना चाहिए। डिवोटी है बट उसका में प्रसाद खा सकते हैं हम लोग?
धीरे धीरे समझाओ, निकल जाएगा।
नहीं, बट प्रसाद खा सकते हम लोग किसी?
हाँ, प्रसाद खाओ, खिलाओ, क्या बात है। कुत्ता है?
नहीं, पोपू जी का क्वेश्चन है, जो वो जाते नहीं है उस घर में।
नहीं, न हो तो ठीक है,
हाँ, इंग्लिश में बोले तो।
न हो तो ठीक है। Some people are adamant because they have been given wrong information. पर वैसे तो देखो, it is impersonalism, all right? When Dattatreya was born of Atri and Anusuya, incarnation of Lord Vishnu, he wanted to teach the lessons of devotional service through so many different animals, but impersonalism. So, why impersonalism? Because even in the character of the dog, which is very faithful to his master, there are certain lessons to be learned in our disobedience that we showed towards the Supreme Person. Right? Ichha Dvesh. That became the root cause. With whom? With Krishna. This was our disobedience. And we carried on in 8.4 million species of life. Only in human form of life we are given higher consciousness to engage our senses, purify. Otherwise, in other animal life, no. Most of the animals are in ignorance, even including cows. But they reciprocate only when you treat them well. And there are exceptional examples also. Wild animals have been trained, right? And they remember. If ordinary person can develop a relationship with wild animals, and wild animals remember, they come and embrace them. They love them. So they reciprocate. The keepers of wild animals in jungles of India and Africa, especially lions, people do not equip themselves only stick. They walk barefoot in the jungle to oversee the lions, and lions obey them. If they mistreat, then they can become aggressive. So if that is there, then it is only a question of consciousness. Even in Africa, Maasais are known as keepers of wild animals, but they cannot keep privately, but they take up the protection. So, right? Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Vedavyasapriya Swami Maharaj ki jai.
जय श्री प्रभुपाद।